was that ant that stood up to me.
Yeah, but we can forget about him.
Yeah, it was just one ant. One ant.
Yeah, you're right. It's just one ant.
Yeah, boss, they're puny.
Puny? Say, let's pretend this grain is a puny little ant.
Did that hurt?
Nope.
Well, how about this one? Are you kidding? Well, how about this?
Wow. They put this in a children's film, huh?
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all
This
might
is important.
stand up.
Those puny little ants outnumber
This is
us
actually
100 to
about
1.
tyranny.
And if
This
they
is
ever
what's
figure that
happening now.
out, there goes our way of life.
It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line.
I wish you let one ant stand up to them, and they might all stand up. You see the power of solidarity?
They're going to be in a war soon. And if Mr. Trump listens to Netanyahu, they want to use you to fight America's war. But it's not America's war, it's Israel's war. And when you
Greetings and welcome back to the channel. If for the first time you're coming across my channel, please remember to subscribe. I want to talk to you today about the USA getting involved in the Israel-Iran war. So before I talk, I want to play you a couple of videos, so please stay with me.
they're going to be in a war soon. And if Mr. Trump listens to Netanyahu, they want to use you to fight America's war. But it's not America's war, it's Israel's war. And when you say, Mr. Trump, America first, ask any Jew, even your son-in-law, America is never first. Israel is always first. And as long as Israel is first, then whatever you think or plan will be in Israel before you leave the room of the White House. Mr. Trump, you have to extricate yourself from being controlled by any one of these.
Hamas has offered to give all the hostages back. All of them. In fact, demilitarized. He didn't want to hear it. He just refused. And this is how it works here in Germany and in America. The same thing. There's this closed door that there's nothing that can go in. It's completely shut down. They really don't know anymore. I showed him the New York. I said, "Do you read the New York Times?" He said, "Yes, I read the New York Times." He didn't know about this. He didn't know about this. 15 paramedics, not just assassinated in the head, not just assassinated. When they confronted the IDF said exactly what that SA man said. Hamas. Then, do you know what happened? They unburied the people, the 15 men. And in one of them, who I have the picture somewhere I could show you, I think it's this guy, I think it's him. In his pocket was a phone. He had taken a video of his own death, praying to God for forgiveness for helping his people, for God knows how many months of blood and arms and legs and livers and brains. Unbelievable. And these people were assassinated, and they found the phone and they showed it to the IDF and Israel. And you know what they said? I guess we made a mistake. I guess we made a mistake. Why did you bury the ambulances? Bury with bulldozers. Bulldozers. And I was going to tell the SPD man, but he didn't want to hear it. They don't want to hear story after story. And even I asked him, what about October 1st? Why don't you want to hear about October 1st? He didn't want to hear about it. He didn't want to hear that the children were starving already on October 1st. That Amnesty International and Save the Children in 2020 had said Gaza is uninhabitable. And then he said, of course, it's uninhabitable because Hamas. I mean,
I'll tell you something that even before October 7th, in Israel itself, people were demonstrating for like 30 months against the government, and then nobody not questioning what happened. You see, some of these things is deeper than what we're seeing on the surface. We're going to talk about that in our next video, but let's just listen to these clips.
Can't. How do we get through these people? I just want to tell you that yesterday there are 4 witnesses to this massacre. One of them was 12 years old. They assassinated him. He didn't want to hear this.
If the United States goes to war with Iran in the near future, it will not be because Tehran actually threatens America. It will be because Israel and its powerful lobby in the U.S. have succeeded in creating an essentially false casus belli to mandate such action. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who once commented that 9/11 was good for Israel, has repeatedly sought to commit our government to draw red lines that would narrow options for the White House and de facto require it to take action with the military against Iran. I also would not doubt that Israel, accustomed to behaving with impunity towards its alleged friend and patron in Washington, might manufacture a pretext to draw the U.S. into a new conflict. Something reminiscent.
Did you hear what he just said there? Let me go back a little bit. He used the word manufacture, a pretext.
A pretext to draw the U.S. into.
Listen that.
Towards its alleged friend and patron in Washington, might manufacture a pretext to draw the U.S. into a new conflict. Something reminiscent of the Lavon affair in Alexandria, Egypt in 1954, or the false flag attack on the USS Liberty in 1967. If the United States goes to war with Iran...
You don't have to believe that 9/11 was an inside job, but you better tether yourself to the understanding that false flag events are a reality, because a former sitting president, who was subsequently assassinated in the back of a car next to his wife, JFK, he refused to sign off on a false flag event. The CIA came to him. This is called Operation Northwoods. You should look this up. One idea that they floated was a fabricated shoot down of a U.S. Air Force plane. They also floated blowing up a U.S. ship. And other ideas that they had were just to orchestrate a series of terror attacks on United States citizens. They thought maybe in Miami, maybe in D.C., we'll just start killing people and blaming the Cubans. And JFK said, this is maniacal. I absolutely will not sign off on a false flag event against American citizens.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months.
The wherewithal, the stored up, preserved knowledge to make a bomb very quickly if they wanted to do it.
Iran is so dangerous. Weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
They're very close. They're 6 months away from being about 90% of having the enriched uranium for an atom bomb.
Iran is gearing up to produce 25 bombs, atomic bombs a year, 250 bombs in a decade.
Ladies and gentlemen, time is running out.
Iran will be capable of producing alone, without importing anything, nuclear bombs within 3 to 5 years.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months.
They know Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon. That's the only reason they're comfortable attacking them. Because they know Iran cannot attack back with nuclear weaponry. And they arrogantly thought their Iron Dome was going to protect them. But it literally collapsed within 24 hours. A lot of people may have seen earlier videos where a whole bunch of Iran's weapons were being intercepted by the Iron Dome. The Iron Dome, by the way, actually shoots a missile up to intercept and blow up other missiles. But what they didn't get is that Iran was intentionally sending old missiles to wear out, to use up the defense. And once they felt like they had sufficiently worn down the defenses of the Iron Dome, then they started unleashing the heavy duty stuff. And Iran has hypersonic missiles. And I don't know if you've seen one of those on video. It is insane how fast they come in. You're not getting out of the way of a hypersonic missile. You may be able to see some other type of missile up in the air heading your way. You run for the hills. You're not running from a hypersonic missile. As fast as you see it, it's there. It travels faster than the speed of sound. So it hits you before you even hear it coming. They've also unleashed a new type of weaponry that we've never even seen before. Hey Siri, how many missiles does Iran have? It's going to be in the thousands. 3. They know Iran doesn't have a.
This is an apartment building in Tehran. Notice how the surrounding apartments aren't damaged. The whole building hasn't toppled down. It has been surgically bombed, and whoever was in there was assassinated without any other casualties, right? This is Gaza. This is the difference between wanting to take out a military target and wanting to genocide a whole population. Why is it that Israel can surgically bomb an apartment to take out one Iranian military official, but has to completely glass an entire neighborhood in Gaza to take out one Hamas foot soldier? Explain it to me.
Can't.
Explain how you can still say the past 20 months have been about taking out Hamas. It hasn't been.
Israel has valid, long-standing historical ties to the land.
No. Legally, no. Legally, no. I mean, that's the claim. It doesn't have any legal foundation. In the League of Nations a covenant that was part of the Versailles Treaty, the Palestine Mandate was supposed to be provisionally recognized as an independent state, a state for everyone, a single state for all the people on that land, not a state for a particular racial group. So the idea, and Israel is a Jewish state by definition. And there is no legal basis for a specifically Jewish state on that land in international law.
Israel has valid, long-standing historical ties to the land.
No.
No.
I'm a Palestinian. From 21 until 48, I carried a Palestinian passport. There was no such thing in this area as Jews and Arabs and Palestinians. There were Jews and Arabs. I'm a Palestinian. From 21 until 48, I carried a Palestinian passport. There was no such thing in this area as Jews and Arabs and Palestinians. There were Jews and Arabs.
Isn't what mainstream media tells you. This isn't about terrorism or nuclear weapons. It's about power and independence. Iran trades outside the dollar system. It partners with Russia, China, and BRICS nations. It refuses to bow to Western demands. And that independence has made it a target. What we're witnessing isn't self-defense. It's a desperate attempt to maintain global dominance as the world shifts toward multipolarity. The conflict with Iran represents something much larger, a struggle between an aging empire and nations seeking sovereignty. This isn't just another Middle East conflict. It's a glimpse into the future of global power dynamics.
You want a war with Iran? Great. Who's going? Because I'll tell you who won't be going. The senators voting for it, the pundits cheering it on, and the billionaires profiting from it. They'll all be just fine. They always are. They'll beat their chests and froth at the mouth about sending a message to Iran from the comfort of an air-conditioned television studio, while active duty service members like my husband are the ones who get sent to die for the sake of their polling numbers and TV ratings. Meanwhile, military families like mine We're the ones who pack the bags. We're the ones who count the days. We're the ones who cry into our pillows and pray the phone doesn't ring in the middle of the night. And we do all of that while these cowards on TV talk about war like it's a damn board game, like they're not gambling with our loved ones' lives. We've done this before, America, Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, and every single time they lie. They send in the troops, and then they leave us to pick up the pieces. So no, we're not doing this again. Military families are fed up. Did you know that 2/3 of active duty military families today say we wouldn't encourage our own children to enlist? The US government has relied on military families to provide the next generation of recruits since our country was founded. But we're done with that. So what happens when enlistment tanks even more now that signing the dotted line could mean getting sent to the front lines yet again? Where do you think the pretty princesses beating their chests in Congress will get bodies from then? They'll bring back the draft. Or they'll double down on exploiting desperate students with medical debt and minimum wage jobs and no other way out. They'll raid the south side of Chicago, the Colonias in Texas, the Res, the trailer park, wherever they think kids are too poor to say no. But this time, we're not going along with it. So hey, Washington, you want war? Draft your sons. Draft the rich. Draft the Ivy League legacy kids and the hedge fund heirs. If war is worth it, it should be worth it for everyone. But hey, we all know that you won't, because you know damn well it's not.
If you're in the UK, you might be waking up to the news that Israel has carried out strikes against Iran. But it's funny that, isn't it? Because there's other news that isn't in the headlines. Yesterday, the United Nations General Assembly voted overwhelmingly in favour of a resolution on Gaza. So the resolution called for an immediate and unconditional ceasefire. 149 states voted in favour, 19 abstained, and 12 voted against. And the 12 really is a coalition of the nobody. The United States has managed to get together 11 countries that some of you would struggle to find on a map. So is it really just coincidence that the same day the United Nations General Assembly passes this resolution, Israel carries out airstrikes against Iran? It's almost like it's trying to change the news and headlines around the world.
The president will start a war with Iran because he has absolutely no ability to negotiate. He's weak and he's ineffective. So the only way he figures that he's going to get reelected, and as sure as you're sitting there, is to start.
I'm not kidding when I say that 8 weeks ago in March, she testified before Congress that Iran did not appear to be building a nuclear bomb. This was 8 weeks ago, you guys.
He continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003. The IC continues to monitor closely if Tehran decides to reauthorize its nuclear program.
Actually changed overnight. And why did it change overnight? And the answer is Bibi Netanyahu. What Bibi Netanyahu wants is what he gets. He is the effective president of the United States and has been for a very long time.
I was trying to defend this nation from, then that's the day World War III will start. For on that day, mankind will learn that I was trying to save my nation from the Freemasons, the Illuminati, the Jews. For if Americans win the war, then they will conquer the world and forever be a slave to the Jews, and they would try to conquer God.
Given green light to Russia and China, Taiwan should be absolutely petrified now, because these guys have given absolutely no credence to international law. China can turn around and say, bugger off, we're going to do what we want, just like you did. And, you know, what's to stop them? What's to stop them using the same argument? This lawlessness, this absolute damn right to kind of say, we can preemptively strike anybody we like. Okay, well, in that case, Netanyahu's threatened Pakistan. Well, should Pakistan drop a nuclear bomb on Israel? Come on, absurd, obnoxious stuff is this? You know, is this the politics of playground children? And we've got the most incredible weapons in the hands of idiots. Absolute idiots who wake up in the middle of the night and say, oh, what should we do? Order a cheeseburger and bomb Iran.
They don't want a deal. Otherwise, you wouldn't kill
unless you think that Trump tacitly wants this to happen, which he might well do.
Maybe. I mean, I don't try and mind read Trump. You can. You know him better than me. The man's a liar. He's erratic. He's unhinged. Who knows? I mean, he claims to be anti-war. Remember all that? I came on your show last year, Piers. How many times did I hear people telling me about Trump being anti-war. He went to Michigan and said, I won't get involved in a war in the Middle East. And here we are now, several hundred people dead in Israel and Iran, completely preventable conflict, done with Trump's blessing. And as I say, if you're worried about highly enriched uranium, blame Trump, right? He tore up the nuclear deal in 2018, Piers. In 2018, Iran was enriching uranium at what percentage? 3.67%. And the IAEA said, yep, we verify it. We have no complaints. We verify that Iran is in accordance with this deal. And Trump tore it up. And today, 60% highly enriched uranium, 400 kilograms. That's on Donald Trump. They don't want a deal.
If Donald Trump launched a war in Iran, not only will I not support it, I will apologize for the rest of my life for voting for the guy. Donald Trump has betrayed MAGA, betrayed America first. He has made the most disastrous decision to lead America into another war. Donald Trump should be impeached and removed for this. All of his supporters should turn on him. It's the absolute betrayal of everything that he ran and campaigned on and everything that he stood for. He is going to lose his coalition over this. I supported him this last year. I apologize for doing so. It was a bad calculation. At the time, it seemed like the right one. But he should be impeached and removed for this one.
One thing you...
Yeah. I want to address that as well. I also supported him on certain things. I also want to apologize for prematurely supporting such an individual.
Did know is that Israel has scores, if not hundreds, of nuclear weapons, and you did not mention it. Why is Israel allowed illegally to hold scores, if not hundreds, of nuclear weapons in defiance of the law, uninspected by any agency in Dimona? And reports today from Dimona are that they are currently modernizing their nuclear fleet. Don't you think that would have put in a better perspective this issue of nuclear weapons? The reason I know you know it is because the brave Jewish whistleblower Mordechai Vanunu, who blew the whistle on Israel's nuclear weapons, came first to the Daily Mirror and was betrayed by your enemy and mine, Robert Maxwell, to the Mossad, and then spent 22 years in prison in solitary confinement and turned up in the courtroom with his jaws wired together like Hannibal Lecter, so he couldn't tell the courtroom what he'd told the Daily Mirror. Finally, the story appeared in Andrew Neil's Sunday Times, but only after Maxwell had betrayed him to the Mossad. One thing you did know is that Israel has scores, if not hundreds, of nuclear weapons.
Israel has 90.
How many nuclear weapons does Iran have as of today?
Right now, I hope none.
Okay, how many does Israel have?
No idea.
No idea? You were in the government. They don't tell you that stuff.
No idea.
Who do they tell?
No idea.
Do you recognize the hypocrisy of Israel having a secret illicit nuclear weapons program that it won't open up its doors to and won't talk about, and then lecturing everyone else in the region about nuclear weapons?
Absolutely not. You know why?
You talked about hypocrisy. If an Iranian guest came on my show and I asked him about Iran's nuclear program, he said, I don't know, I'm not going to talk about it. Would you be okay with that? You'd be outraged.
Of course,
and yet you sit here as a former minister of the Israeli government saying, "Oh, I don't know, never talked about nukes with anyone."
Because there was like 16 United Nations Security Council resolutions against Iran.
And there is against Israel. And there is against Israel as well.
About
your nuclear program.
No.
Yes, there is. UN Resolution 487. Let me read it to you. The UN Security Council in 1981 says, calls upon Israel urgently to place its nuclear facilities under the safeguards of the IAEA. Why haven't you done that?
Because
Iran has never attacked a neighbor. Israel has repeatedly attacked its neighbors. Iran signed the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Israel has refused to sign. Iran submits to inspection by the International Nuclear Energy Agency. Israel refuses to submit. Iran has no nuclear weapons. Israel has between 75 and 400 nuclear weapons. So Israel poses an existential threat to Iran. For the last 40 years, Israel has conducted a systematic campaign of disinformation about Iran. Why the lies? Why the double standards? Why the hypocrisy?
Yes, I am. So thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And stay tuned for the next one, because I will talk some more on this particular topic. Thanks again and have a wonderful day.
Into the thing. People are not subscribed. Please subscribe. And the